Charter California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz, and we are joined today by Thomas Wong. He's the director of the San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District. Who would have thunk when you ran for office a few years ago you would be so busy on the most important issue in the state today?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I ran, the water bond was a big discussion, and the drought was getting worse and worse, so it's been an exciting time for sure.
So let's talk about how your constituents are doing. You represent 4 cities: Azusa, Alhambra, Sierra Madre, Monterey Park. How are your constituents doing these days?
They're doing okay. I mean, we've been able to make sure we have enough water on hand over the last 4 years. Going into this 4th year of drought, there haven't been any serious cutbacks until now, until the state just passed its mandatory regulations and its cutbacks on our cities. And our cities will only now start to feel pain, I think.
And let's talk about that. As you know, Governor Brown did order, for the first time in the state's history, mandatory restrictions on water use. And the state board, I guess, they issued their second crack at the specifics for each utility, water utility, and it ranges from a conservation target of 8 to 36%. I know at least 2 of your cities are at 20, Azusa and Monterey Park. Not bad, not terrible, not great. How are those 2 cities faring?
They've been doing okay, and actually Monterey Park, one of my cities, they're already at 13 to 15% reduction from 2013 levels, which is the baseline for the reduction.
So do they need to go another 20 or another 7?
Another 7 essentially, but a lot of our cities have, with rates and with the drought and conservation messaging since 2013, have already gotten a good ways there. There's still going to be pain over the summer as they have to cut back and force residents and businesses to cut back. But what's going to be tougher is if this drought continues next year, the cutbacks are going to be even worse, and it's going to be a very, very hard question to answer how we're going to do that.
Let me ask you about Sierra Madre, though. Their level, 32%.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the second highest level. That's essentially you're cutting a third of your use as we're heading into the summer months.
Yeah, and Sierra Madre is going to have a tough time to do that. A lot of lawns are probably going to have to go brown. They do have, Sierra Madre of our cities probably has some of the larger lots in our cities, so they have maybe more of the ability to do so.
Let's talk about lawns, because lawns are this month's scapegoat. Last month it was almonds, the month before it was pistachios or alfalfa. I want to just play it out a little differently. Lawns, technically speaking, use only about 5% of our water, our human water consumption. Most of our water, 50%, goes to the environment. There are some positive elements to lawns. If you consider that they help with heat dissipation, they help with trapping dust and smoke. We need them for the CO2-O2 exchange. And so while it's very easy to beat up on lawns, is it fair?
I think it's fair just because we're looking for ways we can reduce our water use without really impacting our daily lives. There's a lot of lawn space that we water that no one even steps foot on, no one uses, there's no real use for it. And that can easily go, as opposed to forcing people to drink less water, to cook less, to clean less.
But is it a bit of a bait and switch? Look, if you bought a home in Sierra Madre 15 years ago, you bought it because you wanted a beautiful lawn. I mean, Sierra Madre, it's one of the nicest communities in the region. So, is it really fair? They didn't know.
I mean, I don't think it's a question of fair or not. The reality is we're in a drought. There's not enough water to go around. We do have to cut back. There are some people that maybe have more of an ability to do so.
Right.
But it's also an education thing where we've been trying to, as well as many other water districts and water agencies, to promote the use of native landscaping that's much more water efficient, doesn't require as much maintenance either, and can look just as beautiful as any other kind of lawn.
And let's talk about that, because when I think of California natives, I've said this before on our program, I think of, my grandmother's California natives in the Palm Desert area, which are just not attractive. But then when I really start to look into the issue, they can be beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, they really can be quite attractive. And while they had been the purview of the Coachella Valley, is it time for us to really look at cacti in a different way?
Well, you don't even have to go to cacti.
Okay.
There's an organization called Theodore Payne Foundation.
I know it.
That does tours of different.
They've been on our show,
landscaping.
actually.
Yeah. They do great examples. They've been covered by a lot of media. Our district itself has been funding landscape projects, pilot projects to showcase what a native landscaping can look like and how beautiful it can be in our cities. In Maury Park, we're doing it right now at 2 schools, Brightwood, which we're actually going to open up next week, Macy Intermediate, which is finishing up their native landscaping in their front lawn. We've done it with businesses, the Alhambra, the business community there in the city of Alhambra. We've done it with local schools, other schools in Azusa and things like that, just replacing with native landscaping.
There are many utilities that are offering rebates for either putting in natives, putting in artificial turf. If one lives in a Southern California Metropolitan Water District community, you can get up to $3.75 rebate per square foot. How is that working out at the San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District?
So we're not a member of the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, which has been pushing these rebate programs. But that $3.75 in some areas is because Met puts in $1, DWP puts in $1, another agency puts in $1. We're talking with our cities about how we can work together so we can put a bigger pot of money together for a rebate program for our cities. And we're seriously exploring that. But our focus has been the last few years on indoor appliances. So we've been giving away toilets, hydro-seat toilets for over a decade that run out. Sierra Madre, Maury Park ran out in 2 hours, gave away 500 toilets.
And let's talk about appliances, because as I'm sure you know, in April, the State Water Board issued regulations on water appliances. And there is a big push now to limit water flow for new toilets, urinals, faucets. I mean, I've seen kind of a proliferation of those toilets where there are 2 buttons. I see them a lot in Europe, you know, and it's kind of cool. So, you know, a larger flush for number 1, or a shorter flush for number 1, a larger one for number 2. And so are those efficient, effective?
They are, and they can be. And you're seeing more and more of the technology advance where before maybe high-efficiency washing machines for clothes, people were finding they weren't washing them completely. There was still soap in them just because they weren't using enough water. But they're advancing to the point where they can, and they're washing them just as well as with less water.
I'm going to do something that's probably TMI, too much information, but you know, just indulge me. In our house, we do not flush the toilet for number 1. I just feel as if, why? Am I just a complete buffoon for taking that approach?
And I think a lot of people could and start doing that for sure. Start taking Navy showers. I mean, just start thinking throughout your daily kind of whatever you're doing during the day. As you're using water, I mean, ask yourself: do you really need to use water for this? Do you really need to flush? Do you really need to keep the faucet on? Do you need to put this water? Is this water just going to be thrown away later on? Just be more mindful, and more people, I think, as the price of water goes up, will start to be more mindful about their consumption.
And is that going to happen, the price of water going up? Because, you know, the market on commodities like this can be tricky. You know, it depends where you live, and
I mean, the way the water industry is set up, there are different agencies that sell water in different places.
Some are private, public.
Yeah, so pricing's kind of wherever you're at, depends. But it's definitely, you take a look at all the agencies across California, water prices are going up just because the cost of water and the sources of supply are becoming more and more scarce. So costs are going up, and that's been a big reason why some of our cities have seen conservation, just because people have seen their bills go up.
Okay, his name is Thomas Wong. He is a director with the San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District. My name is Brad Pomerantz, and you are watching Charter California Edition.